Check, check. Did it work? Did you hear it? Yeah? Good, thanks. I'm sorry? Okay, thanks. Just making sure the live stream works.
Oh, okay, yeah. Somebody's watching it right now.
Yeah, I just want to make sure they can hear it.
Oh, okay. The neighbor was just checking it. Yeah, well, I'll be checking it out.
chair right there. Yeah, and then this one gets. That's right.
Be seated, all. Be seated.
Dear ones, we come today in impressive numbers to mourn Howie's passing, but not to dwell upon his death and the dying, for if that's all we do, then Howie is really gone. We come also to celebrate his life, to see him in his heyday, to remember him just that way. He who took everyone into the purview of his concern. His beloved daughter, Nicole. Son-in-law, Lowell, who was like a son. Loving grandchildren, Jack and Nat, Dylan and Olivia. Devoted sister Ruby and brother-in-law Bernie and nephews David and Mark, and a host of loved ones and dear ones and friends. And of course, his beloved Lila and his darling daughter Jolie, whose passing devastated him. The poet could have been talking about him when the poet wrote, "He shed round him in the common strife and concerns of life a constant influence." And that's the truth about him. Bronx boy. How many are here from the Bronx? One person. I'm from the Bronx. We make a majority from the Bronx. He graduated from Christopher Columbus High School. He went on to Hunter College. Actually, he was the first class that allowed men in what was named Lehman in the Bronx. Story is that a lot of the women didn't like the fact that guys were now going to come to their college. So they had a little pin, put a little pin on with a line to a guy, said, which meant we don't want any guys. Women didn't want any guys. Howie liked that pin. He put the pin on because he didn't want any more competition. Upon graduation, became a gym teacher. Went on to earn a master's in physical education. He was an incredible athlete. He held the record for the number of baskets in a game at Lehman College. Strong guy, powerhouse of a guy. Also a basketball coach. I asked Nicole, how did your folks meet? She said by introduction, friend introduced them. And when he took one look at Lila, he was love at first sight because Lila was beautiful. They dated, they married when they each graduated from Hunter Lehman. Lila as an undergraduate, Howie as a graduate student. They married on February 22nd, 1966. Lila taught elementary school. They were both teachers. Lived in the Bronx. Nicole comes along in 1970. Jolie joins in 73. They moved to Harrison, from there on to White Plains. Children grew, they remained there, that was their abode. Howie was a great athlete. He could run, loved to run. He ran 6 marathons And usually after running, he would run a lot, he wanted something crispy to eat. A little Chinese food to eat, a little crispy. He loved to go to dinner, have crispy food at dinner, where he would display his wild and crazy comic sense of humor, often by including these props like fake buck teeth, Dr. Buck's teeth. They looked like little chiclets. And when the waiter would come over, he was sure to show them his buck teeth because he loved to entertain. He always ended up being the life of the party. Funny, jovial, very, very charming. And he was a good-looking guy. The silver fox, that's what he was. And he had a way with people, men and women. He had a way with them all. There were groups of friends and parties that Lila arranged at home, and mostly at home because family was all in all to him. Family mattered. How he loved Lila's cooking, said she was the best cook in the world, and she was really good at it. He liked to watch Westerns for recreation. I like to watch Westerns too. I find it very relaxing. Because after a long day of craziness, you want to be into something totally different, and he liked Westerns. But he loved comedy. Mel Brooks, give him Mel Brooks, or give him Rodney Dangerfield, or Saturday Night Live, give him all of that stuff. Because he liked it, because he was a funny guy himself, always with a joke, always remembered all of the jokes, and he would regale you with his jokes, with his humor. Liked to spend time in the Poconos. They were involved in real estate. They always had a place to stay there. Family was there. And Nicole remembers that grandparents would come up for weekends there and be there as well. How he could speak his mind, expressing his own convictions, which sometimes got him into trouble. But in the end, he always knew how to wiggle out of it, and became much like a drama where people raised their voices, but he had such a way about himself that in the end, with all of that, there was always hugging and kissing because he knew exactly how to handle. Sherry, raise your hand, Sherry. There's Sherry. Sherry was his assistant, who will speak later on, was witness to such goings on. She saw it firsthand. She saw how he would get people angry. And then the scenario would always end up with his making people embrace him, laugh, and be at one with him. Dylan, his grandson, has something to say and tells me that the first thing that comes to mind was my grandfather had dogs. He had champion dogs, says Dylan. Dylan says, we go to dog shows. He says, I remember when we went to the Westminster Dog Show. Great experience, says Dylan. And we would have a Reuben sandwich. Every time he talked to him, he'd say, do you remember the Reuben sandwich? And that's how it was.
The name. He would say, what sandwich was that?
Grandpa Howie, says Dylan, was always supportive of my singing. He liked my being lead singer in a rock band. Came to all of my performances, says Dylan. And he would talk about me to everybody. He was proud of what I did. But he was one of the funniest people I ever knew, he says. He taught me how to laugh, says Dylan. He taught me how to be funny. And I'll always keep Grandpa Howie very close to me. He'll always live with me, close to my heart, says Dylan. Olivia says to me, she says, every single morning he would call my mom, Nicole, and say, what's cooking? And Mom would say, 9 o'clock in the morning. Do you expect anything to be cooking? Olivia remembers a dog show that they went to. She says it was a very funny dog show. Why? Because there was a sign at the dog show that said, no dogs allowed. She says everybody laughed. Very funny thing. She said, that I remember. I know that he loved me, she says. He would give me the ribbon, when they won a dog show, and she'd carry the ribbon. I know that he loved me, and I will always love him, and I will always remember him this day and every day. Jack, who's going to speak, will expand upon their thoughts, and he'll also offer his own thoughts, the closeness that he shared with his grandfather, all of the little nameless acts that bound them together. He will talk about that. And so Lowell will speak as well. Son-in-law who was like a son to him, who impacted each other's life in such a way. And Lowell will speak as well. Sherry, who will speak soon, said he was like a rock star. He was like a life force. He touched so many people's lives, she says. So many are devastated, she says, by his passing. She says, I personally, who worked with him, will miss him this day, all the days. And then came darkness one day. Darkness at noon. June 9, 2015. Jolie dies of a brain aneurysm. Howie and Lila were devastated. How could that be? First, to imbibe that and live with that and make that a reality was almost an impossibility for the two of them. And yet he had to then deal with a reality, was to keep Olivia part of their lives because there was a guy who wanted to take her with him. She didn't want it. The family didn't want it. And how he fought with all of his strength, trial upon trial, to fight so that Olivia will remain with them, and he gave his strength and his wherewithal to see to it that she would be part of the family. It was a tragic time, a difficult time. How he fought the battles, but there was tragedy after tragedy. For only 6 months later, after Jolie passes, 6 months almost to the day, that day, Lila dies of a broken heart. Think of it. Devastation, darkness in their lives. For him, the lights had gone out in the sky. It was just devastation. He was emotionally wasted, and yet in all of that, he raised funds for the Brain Aneurysm Foundation. 2 great fundraisers he did. Enormous tasks he undertook. Himself emotionally, where all of the emotions drained out of him. And yet he had to do it. And he did it. And then on top of all of this, he was assaulted by all kinds of physical ailments. And in the midst of all of that, he sought to recapture some of his old life. Remember, he was a powerhouse and he thought he could do it all again. He was the athlete of athletes, and he could try, and he couldn't do what he did when he was in the heyday of his day. And he took huge risks in order to recapture the past, seeking to be the person that he once was. But that only inflicted more harm upon himself, and it was as if Nicole and Lowell and the family spent these last 7 years trying to keep him alive. And they did. And he lived because of what they did. But in reflecting upon his life, we're here to celebrate those memories that bring back the experiences of him when he was in charge. Strong, vibrant, handsome, charming, powerhouse of a guy, filled with humor and laughter that affected everyone's life. That was his way. How he has now entered the sacred portals of the heart, there to be contained, never to be lost, never to be forgotten. So we count ourselves and must count ourselves fortunate to have had him as long as we did. However, accepting his passing with grace is a challenge, nevertheless. But we ought not to despair, for here among us, in minds awakened by his, in hearts uplifted by his, in spirits gentled by his, he lives and shall continue to live this day and every day. He leaves all of you with a treasure of memories that will never lose their luster. Memories that will deepen and mellow as the years go by, because it is in your hearts. You knew him, you loved him, you respected him, you laughed along with him, that the best and purest part of how he now lies within your hearts, eternally enshrined. In gratitude for him, so we say together now, all of us, Amen, Amen, Amen. So we pause for a moment just to think about him, to capture some memory about him that we want to keep safe within our hearts. So we think now to ourselves. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable unto thee, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. It's seemly to hear from others, and we're grateful that you are all here to imbibe the words and to make sense of the senseless, which we cannot do, because we all live with the absurd, things that happen that ought not to happen. Our task is to deal with it. That's how we prove the strength of our own character, how we handle, how we deal with it all. This family has dealt with it all. Tough and difficult as it's been, almost impossible, things that happened that ought not to have happened. At least prove the strength of their own character. All that they sought to be. So first we're going to call upon Sherry, his assistant, who really was supportive of him. Come up, Sherry. Are you going to say a few words about her? Otherwise I will later.
About her?
Yeah. Come. Come.
Yeah. He's here.
I would really love that.
Can you get through that way? You can go this way too.
That's a Howie thing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to come this way?
No, I'm going to come up this way. I'm ready here.
Oh, you're going to stay here? Okay.
No, I'm going to sit.
Okay. Okay.
That's him, right?
You know what? Put it down. Put
Yeah,
it down.
maybe
Put it
it's the
down.
whole thing.
Put the whole thing down. It won't stay there. Just put it on the ground. That's right.
It did.
Uh-oh.
No, that's.
Can you lean it up?
No, no.
Lean it up. There.
There.
Good job. Okay, good job.
Let's clap low.
There we go. Okay, thank you. All right. Well, when Nicole had asked me if I wanted to say something, my first word was no. No, because I didn't think I could. But he said, no. The rabbi said, no, this is your final gift. This is your last gift to him. So we'll wait for you to get yourself together. So that being said, I quickly wrote down exactly what was in my head that very second. And here it is. I also have a little poem at the end that I changed a little bit just because it fit him better. Okay. Ever since I got the news, I have been sick, physically and mentally sick. My heart literally hurts. We have lost a loving father, a true friend, and a light in the world. And is that sad? As I am to have him leave, I'm so glad I got to be in his presence. In his presence. He would fill a room, and you just wanted to make sure you were at his table. That's where you felt welcome, and you laughed, and there was joy. I have heard endless stories of his heydays with Nat and Bernie and Joe. They were, some of them were gone by the time I got there, but can you imagine the sales meeting going on right now? I also got to be a part of the family by watching videos of concerts, reading poems, listening to him tell me countless ways he was proud of his family. For instance, and I may use his voice, I'm sorry, I might. Lowell can do anything. He is such a good dad, best husband. My daughter really lucked out with him. Nicole is the best mom. She loves those kids like crazy. She is the best cook, sings beautifully, and writes poetry. She is the whole package. Jack has a 4.0. He is so freaking smart. Way smarter than I ever was. Dylan is smart and loving. And have you heard that kid sing? I can't walk today because I sat on the ground in a park, but it was worth it. And both boys protect Olivia and love her, and he's so proud of that. And my little Olivia, she has the sweetest heart, and she can light up a room. She is my world. My baby sister Ruby, which is a little inside joke with him and I, because every time Ruby called, I said, it's your baby sister Ruby. And he hated it, and so I did it every time. She is so beautiful. men always hit on her at the restaurants, and Bernie has to get in fights. It's embarrassing. These are all the things I heard on a daily basis. And although it breaks my heart to not have him call me 50 times a day, I like to think he is with Lila and Jolie now on a beach with a big vodka tonic, waiting for all of us to someday join him. And here's my poem that I found. When I come to the end of the road and the sun has set for me, I want no rights in a gloom-filled room. Why cry for a soul set free? Miss me a little, but not too long, and not with your head bowed low. Remember the love that we once shared. Miss me, but let me go. For this is the journey that we all must take, and each must go alone. It's all part of master plan, a step on the road to home. When you are lonely and sick of heart, go to the friends we know, make them laugh. Miss me, but let me go.
I'm not going back now. Those were beautiful words, well spoken, touching our hearts, and we're grateful to you. Fran, where are you, Fran?
Right here.
Good, Fran is here. Fran is going to speak for Ruby. Ruby who couldn't be here. Ruby who loved her brother, and the two of them were very close. And Ruby is devastated by his passing. What am I going to do without him? She kept saying to me, how will I do? What can I do? Bernie is gone now. He's gone. What will I do? He was all in all to me. Thank you for speaking her words. Thank you.
Do my best. To my dearest brother, Howard, this is the last time I will be able to tell you I love you, although I will forever love you in my heart. I know you would respond with, I love you too. We were so lucky to share that love. That is why losing you is such a tremendous loss. From the day I carried you home from the hospital when you were born to this very last day, I cherished you. I felt responsible to care for you as your big sister, which I diligently tried to do till the very end. You were very easy to love and care for. I will have to find a new way to go on. You tried so hard to live and be brave, but it was all just too much to bear. I want you to know I was so proud of you in every way. Life handed you some tremendous challenges and tragedies, but also some beautiful blessings. Your love will be carried on through your loved ones, namely me and Mark and David, and of course Nicole and Lowell and Olivia and Jack and Dylan. You managed to persevere with your indomitable spirit and your resolute ways, which carried you through your many marathons and sporting challenges, which you were so successful at. You were a true champion. You carved a path for yourself and you made it happen. I was so very proud of you. You were so smart, so funny, so handsome, so loving, so caring, so tough, and so strong. You were an amazing athlete and a star basketball player, adored and worshipped as Uncle Howie, always ready with a joke and a comeback. You were so sharp, and you were able to make everyone laugh and feel comfortable. When I was depressed, Bernie used to say, call your brother. He will cheer you up. And you always did. You were always there for me, making me feel special. I loved reminiscing with you, which we did a lot of. I will greatly miss all of that, as well as your wise advice, giving me permission to cry, which I am allowing myself to do a lot of now. I am crying, and then I'm smiling from all the beautiful memories you have left me with. Thank you. I love you. Rest in peace. Your loving sister, Ruby.
Beautiful words that are spoken eloquently, and we're grateful for that. To hear a sister speaking about a brother, the words are touching, but spoken wonderfully. Thank you for that. It's seemly now to hear from grandson Jack, who has something to say for himself and for his siblings. So Jack, please.
There's one thing I could say about my grandpa, is that he lived his life to the fullest. Not by skydiving or thrill seeking, not by drinking too much or partying too late. He lived his life to the fullest by filling his life with what mattered most: family, friends, and laughter. No one had mastered the art of a joke like Howie. I remember him and my grandpa Bruce would sit at the dinner table, telling the same jokes to each other at every family function, and just making everybody laugh as if we didn't hear those same jokes last Thanksgiving. If there's one place I felt Grandpa was most in his element, it was Grandpa on vacation. He was always the first one to wake up, and this was so he could work out and go down to the pool and get us the best seats right in front. Also, no one loved the pool, hot tub, beach chair trio quite like Grandpa. He can go from hot tub to pool to chair and back to hot tub all day. Another thing I should say about my grandpa is that he had a certain gravity to him, and I've noticed this a lot on vacation. On every vacation, I just envisioned Grandpa making friends in minutes wherever we went, whether at the dinner table or in the hot tub or wherever he was. And this is something I felt he definitely passed to my mom. Another thing about being on vacation with Grandpa is that you're sure to be laughing the whole time. My favorite game we used to play wasn't even outside or anywhere, it was just in the bed where we used to hide under the covers from the Nazis with Grandma. I felt as though my grandpa was always more of a friend than a grandpa. He had the incredible ability to connect with me and my siblings, whatever age we were, and he got to our level. He had his own jokes with all of us and always made us feel special. Where I related with him most was through basketball. He could stand or sit outside for hours just watching me shoot baskets. Speaking of basketball, I'd be remiss to not mention how fantastic of a coach he was. In the summer before my sophomore year of high school, I'd created a basketball team called the Renegades. And on the Renegades, we recruited Howie to be the coach. And what ensued was nothing short of special. We cobbled together a team of mostly kids who hadn't played before or even played basketball at all. None of the coaching of Howie, I don't remember exactly, but I believe we became in the top 3 of the league of mostly school JV teams that were preparing for their season. This is in no small part due to Howie, who had a special way of putting everyone in the best scenario to succeed and inspiring confidence in each and every one of us. From that point on, the kids and parents alike from that team fell in love with my grandpa and always asked how he was and how he was doing. Another thing that my grandpa related with us grandkids with was singing. He loved to hear Dylan and Olivia sing. He used to say that it didn't matter how good we were. He just loved us so much that it would sound like the best thing he'd ever heard. I guess that leads me into my last point about pride. My grandpa was proud in a way that wasn't conceited, but he truly felt as though he had the best family in the world. I'll never forget my last conversation with him was when we were in Jamaica. I called him up to tell him about my grades, and I got a 4.0, and I hadn't heard of his voice light up like that in a long time after being in bed for all those months, and just hearing that made me feel so special. He was a true family man, and I strive to be like my grandpa like that, and to have that kind of pride. To everyone here, hold your families a bit tighter today and live a little bit like Howie. Thank you.
Well, Jack, you did it. Good to you, Jack. Well done. Appreciate your words and all of your comments about it. They all strike home. We're here to be uplifted by the words, but to take the words, to turn the words into feelings. We leave with certain feelings about it. We know that Lowell has much to say. Son-in-law, but son
anyone who's met Howie would agree that he's larger than life. He could entertain people, win them over like nobody I've ever met. He knew everybody, and everybody knew him. He had a joke for every occasion, most of which I cannot repeat here. I remember the first day I met Howie. As some background, I was growing up in New Jersey and had a golden retriever as our family pet. When Nicole and I were just getting to know each other, we had some casual conversation about pets, and I expressed my preference for larger dogs. So fast forward to the first time meeting the parents. Howie and Lila and Jolie were there. I was sitting there in their house in White Plains, and their miniature pinscher, Brandy, was sitting on my lap. Sorry, Freudian slip there. Miniature poodle was sitting on my lap. And Howie walks in. His second sentence to me after, "You must be Lowell," was, "I hear you don't like little dogs." So I wasn't off to a great start. Nicole and I met in 1993. I was living in New York City. I thought I had a fairly normal relationship with my parents. We spoke on the phone usually once a week. And as I started to get to know Nicole and spend time with her, it became clear to me that she spoke to her dad about 5 times a day. He would call to see what was going on, as if it would be much different than what was going on an hour before. But that was Howie, whether he was in the Catskills or in White Plains or wherever. He just wanted to know about, and he wanted to be involved in our lives. Family was everything to him. I don't think there's been a day in the past 20 years where I didn't get a call from Howie with some version of, "How are my beautiful grandchildren?" Howie had such a close relationship with me. I mean, as the rabbi said, when he introduced me to people, he'd say, "This is not my son-in-law, this is my son." I mean, how many son-in-laws can really say that? And he really was like a second father to me. I mean, every year for the past 20 years, we would go into a football pool together called the Survivor Pool. We loved it. We didn't have to pick a team until the Sunday of each week, but our discussions and debates started on the preceding Tuesday and continued throughout the week. So over those 20 years, the second question I got from Howie was, after how are my beautiful grandchildren, was, "Who are we going to pick this week?" He loved it. I'm not really a cook. I don't cook often, and I don't have very many cooking specialties, but there are a few things that I do make that Howie absolutely loved. He loved my lasagna with homemade noodles. He loved my slow-cooked baby back ribs, but his all-time favorite was my salmon and a puff pastry. He would drop hints about me making it for him, and then, when I finally caved and did, he would talk about it for days. He was one of the most appreciative people to ever cook for, so that was a pleasure. Howie clearly had a very silly side, so playing into that, as a surprise gift, we ordered him some custom-made, and the rabbi mentioned this, custom-made fake teeth, which you may have seen him wearing. He would wear them everywhere to make people laugh. He especially liked to surprise waitresses in restaurants. He'd play it straight, like those were his real teeth. I mean, they were shocking, but realistic enough that the waitress wouldn't say anything. But soon we all just couldn't take it, and we all sort of burst into laughter. And even after 25 years, Sherry tells me that he still has those teeth in his desk at the Villa Roma. As you heard, he was an unbelievable athlete, basketball player at Hunter College with records for baskets scored. He ran 6 marathons. And then, as Jack mentioned, he came out of a 30-year retirement of basketball coaching to coach Jack's team. And they really were like the basketball version of the Bad News Bears. A bunch of sort of misfits, if you will, and not without the basketball experience, and they ended up at the top of the league. And it was because of Howie. He was just that kind of person. He made everybody their best. He made them as good as they could possibly be. His charisma, and everybody just loved him. His feelings for Lila, off the chart. They were married for 59 years. And it was, 49 years
When she died.
when she died.
Probably
It was
something years now.
such an amazing marriage. Most beautiful couple you've ever seen. When Lila was in the hospital near the end, Howie was at her bedside all day, every day. He was coaching her to breathe, to keep her oxygen levels up. The sun rose and set with her. He did the same with Jolie. He had such a deep love for Jolie. I can still picture him at Jolie's law school graduation. He was beaming. You've never seen such a proud dad. After she passed away, supporting Brain Aneurysm Foundation became a big priority for him. The rabbi mentioned, we had these two very successful and fun fundraisers to raise money for brain aneurysm research. As I'm sure everybody here knows, Howie was the owner of several world champion miniature pinchers, most notably Rocky. They've won the Westminster Dog Show. Rocky was on the Today Show. Howie and Rocky were even on an episode of Sex and the City. Boy, did he love that dog. And as Rocky's dog show career was coming to an end, Howie threw him a party. And this was no ordinary party. It was like a wedding. It was held in the ballroom at the Villa Roma. My son Jack, who was 18 months old at the time, was only allowed to stay for the cocktail hour. Rocky, on the other hand, had a designated fenced-in area with AstroTurf. The highlight of the party was when dessert was brought in by waiters wearing Scooby-Doo costumes, as the theme to Rocky was playing, the movie Rocky was playing in the background. You can't make this stuff up. Howie called this event Rocky's Bark Mitzvah. That's bark with a K. Howie did things his own way up until the very end. When he was in intensive care and he physically couldn't even get out of bed, he told me that we were busting out of there and to bring the car around and to throw him in the back seat. He was not kidding. He was a fighter up until the very end. The list of his medical ailments was multiple pages long. And near the end, I asked him, are you in pain? He said no. I said, what do you want to talk about? And he said, how are my beautiful grandchildren? I'm going to miss you so much, Howie.
Thank you. Wonderful words. The fusion of words that touch our heart. The description of him by a son, what we designate as son, the closeness, the impact that one had upon the other, and we can feel through your words. So we're grateful for all of that. And our last speaker before we conclude our service.
Rabbi, Olivia wants to tell a quick story.
Olivia, come up, Olivia. Stand here, Olivia. Don't go there. Stand here. Come on. Listen to Olivia. Speak up. Go ahead, Olivia.
I remember every single time I would see Grandpa, or we would call Grandpa, he would say, I have a secret for you. And the secret would be the same thing every single time. But it just made me as happy as the first time he said it. It was that, you want to know what my secret is?
What's the
Yes. I love you. And it would
Does everyone know who Nat is? Nat is connected to this guy in China. Now you got the connection. Go ahead.
Well, the first time that I met Howie, I was really, really nervous because they have been talking about him all the time and how amazing he was. And since the first moment, he just gave me a smile and he started just telling jokes and asking about me and my family. And I remember just going to the hospital with Nicole at the end, and one time he said that he wanted to leave because he wanted to get to know me more. And I really wanted to get to know him more. And through all of them and their stories, I got to know him a little bit better.
Well said. Well done. Well done. Thank you. So we're going to conclude, before we end the service, with a poem. Nicole will now speak to us, and through this poem express her feelings. So we're grateful.
Hi. I wrote this poem to my dad on his birthday in 1991. I was 20. It's called Hourglass World, but hourglass with an H, like the hourglass. Gazing up outside myself, I watch the days go by. I see a solar tunnel that is winding through the sky. I ask it to send down to me things I desire most. But it is not my comrade, my companion, nor my host. I try to find the answer. I lie back and close my eyes. I hear the moans of sadness, and I feel the tears of cries. I listen for the laughter. It drifts slowly to my ear. It's laughter mixed with sadness, a smile with a tear. But somehow it is sweeter in its soft and whispery sound. It's like a constant comfort, knowing someone else is around. It's a warm, pale light that flows on me, but doesn't blind my sight. Soft music in the dusky eve when moods are all just right. I feel a sense of peace, more a beginning than an end. Perhaps I think the tunnel is not my enemy, but friend. It has given me such beauty. It has given me such time. It has given me my you, and you are here. You are mine. Excuse me for one sec. Nothing is forever, although fast away we run, and sleepy days can move so slow. It seems our time has just begun. So together, let's forget our troubles, moments of each day. Just look my way and smile when there are no words to say. For we are far more valuable than dollars ever buy. And hand in hand, we'll go slowly to that tunnel in the sky. I love you, Daddy.
powerful words spoken through this poem. Gripping words. Words that speak from heart to heart about a love that will always remain. And though the years slip away from us, that love will always remain. So we're thankful for the words, using this as a vehicle to express the closeness of yours with Howie, your dad. And then why are we here? Now that you have it all. What is our purpose in coming? Just to be people who look on and go on from there? We've come in impressive numbers, but you have homework to do. And being here and testifying to all that he was, and therefore all that he remains, you have a task. And that is to take the words and to translate them into feelings, so that when you leave, you will be safe within your hearts. That's why you're here. That's the hidden agenda. Words fall short, but feelings don't. Take the words, make them work for you, so that you feel him always in your heart. Carry him with you, the funny, the not so funny in his life, and all that was in between. How he dealt with tragedy. How a family taught to transcend it all, to create a life in the midst of all of it. Take all of that to your heart. Ask yourself the question, how to deal with life. Take something of worth from him, from his family, carry it always with you. Know that today should be a day special in your lives.
People can't hear that it's streaming.
Because of all that we share together now and always. We're grateful for our coming together. We're thankful for these moments of sharing. So we rise now, all of us. Oh God. Howie has now entered portals of the heart, now bound to the old Lord with bands of memory and hope, enshrined now with you and with all of us. And is now at peace. Anaya, Naima Adam V'Teda Ehu. En Enosh V'Atachashvehu. Adam Lahevel Dama Yamav Katzil Ovir Baboker Yatzitz V'Chalav. Yitzra Chaim Shalcho Naim Ben Kalman Begittel Shalcho Olamo Ala Rachim Asirei V'Seita Kenafal Olamim Yitzra Bitra Chaim Et Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalat Tavat Hanur B'Shalom Al Mishkava V'Gemar Amen Amen. In gratitude for all that he was and all that he sought to be. In thanksgiving for the years that he was spared, the years that could be shared with him. All of the little nameless acts that were his, to be enshrined now to memories that will live this day and every day. So we all say now together, Amen, Amen, Amen.
Amen.
After the cemetery. To that back into
So
his
you're,
house.
you're all invited back later today, this afternoon, to come back to Howie's place. thoughts, all of you. Come back when you can, following the internment, to meet at Howie's place later this afternoon. Again, in gratitude for him, so we say together, all of us, Amen. 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 Lord, now is my shepherd, I shall not want. Maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. I lift up mine eyes unto the mountains. Whence shall my help come? My help cometh from the Lord who made heaven and earth. If I should die and leave you here a while, be not like others undone who keep vigil by the dust and weep. For my sake turn again to life, nerving thy hand and heart to do that which will comfort other souls than thine. Complete those fear and tasks of mine, and I perchance may hear and comfort you. If fate were worse, or relics which you are speaking into past, cannot destroy. Stronger than I from the sorrow and care and grief applications that you are used to wear. Clothing my heart with such memories filled, like a vase in which roses that once been distilled, you may break, you may shatter the vase if you will. The scent of the rose
on this one. See if that one we could take off the stand instead of taking